Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Gall & Co., which we did learn, Renee, after talking to Matt Yak, the owner, last time. It's just Gall & Co. It could be company. I think it's company. But welcome in, everybody, as it is the London Series pregame show here. Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington. We got JP and Andrew with us behind the scenes, and the lovely crowd here at Gall & Co. On behalf of our friends over at Miller Lite here, Renee. So I get to drink on the job today. It's highly encouraged. And we get the honor of giving away some of Miller Lite's seats to an upcoming Phillies game here today with $3 Miller Lite specials. The game's going to be on. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Honestly, Jamie, I'm so excited.
Oh, God.
To have a chat.
That's pretty good.
I should have seen this coming. I should have known.
Welcome into the London Series, where we're going to be talking about the Phillies Mets. Honestly, it's a beautiful day out today. I
can't believe
really
I didn't realize this was going to come.
Yeah, why did you not know? It's the London Series. I've been waiting for this. I love all the references we've been seeing. Bridgerton, Adele, the Spice Girls, the Beatles. It's been fantastic to see. And honestly, cheerio, bloke, that we've got some baseball.
What's up, buddy?
Got the kids behind us, but in all seriousness, it feels like we've been talking about the London Series for so long, and I can't believe we're actually here. And to watch the Phillies, shout out to their admin, social team. You're killing it, because the content we've been seeing behind the scenes of them in tourist mode and venturing out to Buckingham Palace and all the fun things they've been doing have been amazing to see. And honestly, this weekend feels more of like an exhibition in that sense of growing the game. But of course, we'd love them to go on and beat up on the Mets. It's just
I would say it's a
great
fake.
for baseball.
This is kind of a fake series. It obviously counts in the standings. If they sweep the Mets, which could be possible, but the Mets are swinging a hot bat right now. If they sweep the Mets, it's 100% a real series. If they get swept or lose or anything other than that, it's completely a fake series that was meant to help grow the game, and it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So if the Phillies go on
it's a win-win.
Which won't happen. It doesn't really matter. This is just a marketing ploy by Major League Baseball. Actually, genius of them to put Taijuan Walker out there, as we've talked about, because we'll get into some of the numbers on the two previous London games. But the stadium, the turf, the sight lines, all of it is going to be a big story in this. There's been a ton of runs scored so far in the games in London. So we'll see what happens today. We'll get into the pitching matchups and all of that. But yeah, it's the story of this game is London, and being there and the Passion Gav thing and Chase Utley doing hitting displays, and it's great to see like Shane Victorino, Jimmy Rollins, Cole Hamels, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, the boys all back together there. They're doing parties in the Tower of London. It's just been a really cool thing, and all it does is make me have FOMO. I talked about this with Anthony yesterday. When it was announced, I was like, yeah, that'd be cool to go see. Now that it's here and I'm like seeing it, I'm like, damn, that was one that you probably should have pulled the trigger on.
And it doesn't help that it's so beautiful outside. That
it is gorgeous here
that
today.
It makes me want to be in London even more, because I kind of want to commit to this actually. But when you think about
I mean, like 40 minutes of that? I mean,
it's
here
not
and there.
40 minutes. What?
The game time's at 1:10.
I mean, okay,
Here and
Jimmy,
there,
tell me how you really feel.
You got to sprinkle it in a little bit. All right,
Whatever.
I'm okay with the sprinkle. 40 minutes.
All right. Okay. Tell me how you really feel. Listen, it's beautiful outside. Thank you, Andrew and Jamie, for raining on my parade. Yeah. It's beautiful outside, and I feel like this makes me want to be out and about, and I want to be roaming the streets of London, just like the Phillies are doing, and hear how they're. You have Rob Thompson and the staff out at the local bars. You have the guys, Bryce and Kyle and Bryson were talking about how they were just walking through London like normal people, unbothered, just taking in the sights and sounds. And, I would love to be a tourist and have a chance to be a part of that. So it's great to see for the game of baseball, for the organization, as you mentioned, bringing in the notable alum, the expansion of being able to have guys like Chase Utley involved, and all the promos that we've seen. And then now we get to get down to business and get some baseball played.
Yeah, and the OG of adorable Senior October, Carlos Ruiz. It's great to see him there.
I know.
So it's a very cool thing going on. Andrew, do you have a picture of the stadium that you can share with the people?
I do, yeah.
It is West Ham United Stadium over there. Now, what's very interesting is they tried to make the center field sightline black because a lot of the seats and the overhang of the stadium are white, and it might be tough for hitters to pick up the ball out of the pitcher's hand. So the sight lines of the stadium are going to be a bit different. Hopefully batting practice got them, used to this. But it's definitely a different atmosphere. We'll go over the dimensions of the stadium. Nick Castellanos today in pregame said it's the bounciest turf he's ever played on. Yeah. So the stadium is going to be a big storyline in these two games.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it holds more people, which is great. That's more fans and more butts in seats. 60,000 is about the number that it holds. So there will be more fans than what you get at Citizens Bank Park, which typically holds about 45,000 in terms of capacity. But when you have a converted soccer field, fields are so structured in how they are designed for their specific sport. And it's great for size capacity-wise to be able to have a soccer field that now you can play baseball on, but also in terms of the lighting, the shading, the angles, the dimensions as we're going to look at, it does drastically change things. But I know the guys, as they've been asked about it, they say all the politically correct things. It's not a problem. We understand. We're prepared for it. But it has really created some really interesting numbers when you look at how teams have played in the past in this situation.
Yeah, so this is the third series that's taken place over here. And here you see on the screen there the dimensions of the stadium. Now, they tried to make it MLB average, but actually the gaps are a little bit further back than the MLB average. You do kind of get the short porches down the line, 330 a little bit there. But the weather for game time is going to be 61 degrees, a little bit of a slight breeze there with 11 miles an hour. So over the history of the London series, Renee, there has been a lot of runs scored. And if you're wagering on the game today, perhaps with Bet Parks, some of this information might be helpful for you, especially with the pitching matchup info we'll get into. But this is the first stadium they did over there was the Red Sox-Yankees in 2019. There was 50 runs scored with 10 homers over 18 innings of baseball.
Wow. That's insane,
That's
dude.
nuts.
Holy.
So the first game was 17-13.
Say that one more time, louder for the people in the back.
50 runs scored and 10 homers over the 18 innings there in the first.
That's crazy numbers.
So the
wild.
Game one was Yankees won 17-13. There was 37 hits and 6 home runs in that game.
No way.
So that's wild. Game two, the Yankees took 12-8 over the Red Sox, where there was a combined 28 hits and 4 home runs. That was a much hotter day, as this ballpark pal points out. The stadium was a bit smaller than today's stadium. It was 92 degrees on those game times, so that helps the ball carry a little bit. But that's still kind of wild. And the Yankees and Red Sox were both top 5 offenses that year in baseball.
Well, that's the important part, too.
That is, like, they were good teams.
Yeah. But you look at where the Phillies are coming in, and they are obviously top in baseball, going up against a Mets team. You've got the best in the NL East versus the worst in the NL East, and you have a chance to go up against Sean Renee, as we'll get into his numbers. On top of the dimension is the fact that it's the mismatch that it should be, at least on paper.
Well, you have
and so,
sweet, adorable Ranger on the mound
and on
today.
the other side, you have Rangers, so we can get those high runs and home runs in favor of the Phillies, because Ranger, great to see that he's going to get the go today. Obviously, it was a week ago that we saw him go out with the comebacker. And we're off.
I felt the sympathy pains with him.
Okay, we're still going.
He's our sweetest
We're still going with this. Yes, I know, Jamie. It's okay. He's back. He's back. So to see him back a week later is great, because there should be a lot of runs scored. You talk about 6 home runs, 10 home runs. We've seen games where there's 6 hits total.
Yeah.
To have that many hits, homers, today could be a great day for the Phillies if they can continue with that same streak.
So the second series that happened in London was the Cubs and Cardinals, and now that didn't have Yankees Red Sox type of crazy numbers. It still was double-digit combined runs in both games. The Cubs took game one 9-1 over there. There was 20 hits in that game. And then in game two, it was Cardinals 7, Cubs 5, 19 hits in that game. So for whatever reason over there, whether it's smaller dimensions, the bouncy turf, the sight lines, offense has been prevalent in the London series so far. So we'll see if that happens today. I don't like the Mets' chances with sweet, adorable Ranger on the mound. But offense has been the story of the London series so far.
Yeah, and the Phillies, with their 44-19 record, you look at the success they've had. Whenever they hit 2 or more home runs, they are 15-1 on the season.
That sounds pretty good.
So if there's a chance that you can have, 3-4 home runs, they're winning this game. They should, because that's what history has shown us. When they're feeling it, when the bats are going and they're knocking balls out of the ballpark, they're going to win the game. So definitely looking at these numbers should get you excited, guys. I know in the chat, got to give some love to our crew that's in the chat tuning in with us.
Hell yeah.
Dave P was first today. Congrats, Dave P. We've got K-Red, Spiral Out, Messiah, Tampa Eagle. I can read. Tampa Eagle. I like them. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Philly 007. Guys, let us know what your thoughts are about this game, because it should be a great day. I think what makes it even better, the guys had 2 days off. They had a chance to, I missed them too. As they landed in London on a Thursday morning, they had a chance to sleep on that beautiful plane, be rested, and then hit the ground tourist mode, spend some time together. A lot of the guys don't have their families there with them. And so that's just, they get to be guys being guys. They get to just hang out with the fellas and do ridiculous things. And so they've been having some fun, kicking back, relaxing. I think that also, that happiness, that vibe, the upbeat, playing in London, playing, in a whole different environment where you get to show fans what Phillies baseball is all about. Yeah. In addition to the dimensions, in addition to Ranger on the mound, it's just seeming like it's going to be a great day for the Phillies.
We all know to that, like the world should be watching, even though for some reason baseball scheduled Yankees-Dodgers this same weekend. Dumb.
Really dumb.
But Bryce Harper is a showman. We actually have a picture of his bat, speaking of his showmanship. But when the bright lights are on and the baseball world is watching, Bryce Harper usually shows up. So if I was betting a home run today, I know it's lefty-lefty there, but I kind of feel like Bryce is due. We'll show you a picture of the bat, which is done by Victus Bat Company, which has some local ties. It's very cool. It is the Fanatic dressed as the Royal Guard. So it would be really cool to see a home run hit off of that bat. And Andrew's sharing that with you now, so you can take a look at it. It's very, very cool. And again, just, kind of more of the flair added into this. It is a regular season game, but it does feel special, and it's all like this type of stuff that makes it feel special.
Yeah, and for Bryce, that's exactly what he spoke on. He was talking prior to the game about just, how it's not just another series, how it is a chance when you're in London to hang out, to play baseball. It's a business trip, and also a chance to, and also a chance to enjoy, being in London. And there's this cute little girl to my right that's so adorable. That's about like 2 years old.
Love her shirt.
Ring the bell. I know you guys can't see her, but she's a cutie. Yeah. And so Bryce was saying, even we know he loves the Fanatic, and him and Kyle, as they were walking around London, walking around Buckingham Palace, stumbled into the Fanatic. And, it's like you get to see your buddy in a whole different continent.
And they ran into Dave Shaw, UK Phillies, out there, too, which is very cool.
I think, when you look at these little things, you bring in the Fanatic bat, this is business. This is their chance to show on a big stage. Don't care about the Dodgers, Yankees. We're locked in on Phillies being able to just show everybody in London what they can do.
This one's for you, because I know you're a fan, like our own Chris, of track and field and stadium dimensions.
Oh, boy.
So get this. This stadium, this is something to consider, which I didn't think we'd be talking about today. The dimensions aren't that hitter-friendly. It's mostly MLB averages for depth. But there is an advantage that might have to do with aerodynamics in the stadium. The stadium was designed to reduce drag for track athletes for the 2012 Olympics. As a result, there has been talk that pitches might not be getting their normal break, which is a fascinating element of the game.
What? And how does this correlate to running, I wonder then? If they did this for track
I'm not a scientist.
Because I feel like they don't want the drag, so you should be able to carry and move a little bit easier. Sometimes when you're running,
I'm not even going to pretend to give you any ounce of idea of why this
You're not an expert, Jamie. How dare you not deep dive this more? I did read and have been seeing a lot of talks about like the wind and the weather and just how different the elements are. And I wonder if you're going to be able to have like guys when they're moving are going to just feel like they're floating almost, which means when you're seeing pitches, that could be a really good thing in itself or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. Okay, so the aerodynamics at play here. There's a lot of factors here, and honestly, all factors point to it's going to be exciting, and it's definitely very different. But yeah, that's a great nugget to know. You got all the nuggets for us today.
Yeah, there was a couple fascinating things out there today. I was reading up, my morning cups of coffee, and I was like, wow, and the aerodynamics. I never even would have thought of that as something. But
Gotta call you VG.
I know, my goodness. I mean, it does make sense. There are like air quality and the resistance and the altitude and the wind does change things. So basically, what I get from that is guys are going to be moving even faster. Slim Schwarber, Bryce,
and that bouncy turf on top of it. Castellanos said, by the way, his comment about the British school children wearing their Hogwarts uniforms was laugh out loud funny. I saw that yesterday on Twitter, and I gave a good old chortle.
You are in the home of Harry Potter, and so you have to have some sort of comments around Hogwarts.
That's pretty good.
You're Harry Potter.
Just a little sprinkle, not 40 minutes. That's good.
Thanks, Hagrid.
It was perfect.
But
Wait, Hagrid's Harry.
No.
Isn't Hagrid the big guy?
Yeah.
He's got a big old beard. He's a Harry.
Harry can't be Harry.
You can't say Hagrid's Harry.
Potter.
Yeah, because I was like, Hagrid's not Harry Potter.
Literally Harry.
Hagrid is a Harry man.
Yeah, he's a
He's
Harry
a big
man.
guy. I mean, I don't know who you would be in Harry Potter.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be Hermione, probably.
Yeah, I was
But anyways,
never a Pottersman, Bo.
I know, and I love Harry Potter. And they have a Harry Potter studio there in London. They have this is the home of Harry Potter.
Yeah, of course.
They have all these sights and sounds there. But as you talk about Nick, some positives about Nick, guys. When you look at his last 10 games, he went 10 for 39 with 4 doubles, 2 home runs, and 6 RBIs in the past 10 games. So for everybody that's been talking about Nick Castellanos, ready to ship him off to any other team across the league, DFA him, there's been so many different things, trade him, all the different conversations we've heard. Nick Castellanos is fine now. We knew he'd come out of his slump eventually. And when you have guys like Bryce coming off of being NL, player of the month for May, who has 14 home runs, slugging at .512, you have Kyle, you have Alec and Bryson. This gives Nick time to get going, and the last 10 games is getting going. And honestly, with the aerodynamics, he got to see
uniforms.
I was gonna say he got to see some Harry Potter. He might be feeling a little bit of the magic of of Hogwarts and continue it.
So we'll share with you the lineup here for today. Now, a little fun fact about Rob Thompson: he is going for his 200th victory as Phillies manager today in London. He would be the second fastest in Phillies history to get it. The quickest of the modern era by far, as you have to go all the way back to 1917 for somebody that got to 200 wins in 4 games quicker than Rob Thompson has. So here is the lineup for today's game. This was courtesy of the Phillies with the beautiful Big Ben image on there. Leading off, of course, Kyle Schwarber. In the 2-hole, JT Realmuto. Number 3, Bryce Harper. Alec Boehm hitting cleanup. Nick Castellanos, who we just mentioned, his resurgence is up in the 5-hole. Bryson Stott at second base today, batting 6th. Edmundo Sosa, well-deserved start at shortstop. Whit Merrifield goes in left field. Rob Thompson is giving Whit Merrifield every opportunity to hit his way out of this. And Christian Pache gets the start in center field, batting 9th with Ranger Suarez on the mound. So there's your lineup. It's Whit Merrifield. Brandon Marsh did not actually even make the trip over. Trey Turner did, so obviously no Marsh. There's no great answer. Cody Clemens also didn't make the trip over, so we have to deal with Whit Merrifield.
I feel
today.
so.
My fingers were crossed for Turner. I saw him. He was
on
taking
the
batting
trip.
practice.
Yeah,
I was hoping.
He's
There's talk
honestly
of
getting
next
back.
week,
I was going to say he's getting back a little bit faster than anticipated. So yeah, next week looks like it should be his timeline. I think this trip gives him a chance to continue getting some batting practice, and he's been doing some ground balls and running. And so it's a shame though when you think about the fact that someone like Cody and Marsh didn't get a chance to make the trip. It sucks. Like we were talking on the other side, Derek Hall and Marshawn and the guys that got called in. Fantastic for them to get to make the trip. But someone like Braden Marsh, you hurt your hamstring a week prior. You're not able to be there in London with your boys. And we have FOMO. I can only imagine the FOMO he's having. I think I might have still probably found a way to still go if I could. Yeah. But I do.
Apparently, Rob Thompson explained to them with the 2 days off, we'd be hurting your rehab
that's
and you
that's
getting
the
back
problem.
quicker. He said they were bummed, but they understood.
But this is why, for athletes, when they're injured and on a rehab assignment, it is very isolating, is some terms that I've always heard, because you're not with the team. You're doing a whole different routine, a whole different schedule. And so you're missing out on these moments. This is a great team bonding moment. And as you mentioned in terms of the lineup, though, guys, Whit Merrifield is out there.
Yes.
I know you're not thrilled about it, but maybe as he keeps getting these opportunities, and I know Rob did mention the hard thing for Whit to help him get going is he's got to continue playing. And it's annoying because he's struggling, and you're going to keep having him play, and he's still struggling. And it's like, okay, but when does one, which comes first? Can you break out of the slump, or can we decrease how much you're playing? So I think right now for guys like him and even Taiwan, who I know we'll talk about plenty throughout the course of this weekend, this weekend is another chance to see, can you break out of that slump? Can you give us something and be able to be that utility piece that the Phillies brought him in to be?
Yeah.
So I do want to give some love to the chat, though, because there's a lot of questions going on that we've missed out on, Jamie. Most pressing one is about my fantasy team. I don't know, actually. I didn't check.
Yep.
You should be proud of me.
The counter. My team's on a tear, by the way, but I'm not going to mention it.
I have no idea. I'm not.
Out of the basement,
I'm actually pissed.
Storming
I'm literally going to start cutting some guys.
Good. I'll claim them.
And then I did actually run track in college, which a lot of people don't know. I was a two-sport athlete in college.
I knew you were a fan of track.
Yeah, I ran track. That
That's
was
why I brought up the aerodynamic talk.
And then also, yes, there's some comments about just London and Hagrid and who's going to be Hagrid. And so you don't have to worry about being Hagrid. Ray said he will take the duties of being Hagrid, so you're good there. You don't have to be Hagrid.
Seemed like a real bro. I mean,
yeah, dude, he is a bro.
Yeah,
he's
like
a bro.
My Harry Potter knowledge is very minimal, but what I do know is he seemed pretty cool.
He's very cool. He's very cool.
So I guess I'll take it.
He's like
drinking buddy.
He's living out. He's living out in the woods.
What's the stuff they drank in that? Then there's some kind of Harry Potter beer.
Butterbeer.
Yeah. I could go. We could have some butterbeer.
I mean, we got something better. We got Miller Lite.
But
it's less filling and refreshing, and butterbeer sounds like it's going to weigh you down.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh,
don't
Renee,
look at that.
You better drink it down.
Oh, no.
Can't stay in the
Oh,
table.
no.
Don't let it. Yeah.
All right, a couple other things about the Phillies.
Oh, good Lord.
This is something.
It's you. It's your fault.
No, I did nothing. One thing you have to wonder about this Phillies team right now is the travel issue going to catch up with them? Because listen to this. The Phillies have been, if they were accumulating miles during this, they'd be racking them up right now. So the Phillies obviously are heading to Boston after London. So starting 16 days ago, the Phillies began a stretch where they flew to Denver to San Francisco to Philly, and Philly to London. With tomorrow night's flight to Boston, the Phillies will have traveled approximately almost 12,000 miles over 18 different time zones in the span of 17 days. Oof.
Yeah. I'd be cooked.
Right? It sounds like a lot.
But this is why, when given the opportunity to bring extra guys into the mix, they brought in somebody like Rafael Marchand. And, bring in some other guys, because you don't know how this extremely taxing road trip is going to weigh on guys' bodies.
Good to know that Taxi Squad is not officially dead, because Nick Nelson and the additions were Taxi Squad guys. I thought Taxi Squad was dead. Because taxis are barely a thing anymore.
It's been revived, Jamie.
So good to see.
But it is good. I mean, you hear things like JT's feeling good, Rangers feeling good. They've brought in some extra guys, of course, because you can have additional guys on the roster for this trip. But at the end of the day, that's a lot of miles, a lot of time zones. I know they did tell them, go to sleep. People were laughing on Twitter like, wow, I'd love to get paid to have somebody tell me go to sleep, because that 6.5-hour flight over the pond was very important for them to make sure they're staying on some sort of a timeline and routine. And so, listen, they've got
kind
the
of
staff.
messed up to make them go to San Fran right
I
before
know,
this, because you're going
is.
opposite.
And this is where I always get a little irritated with scheduling across professional sports, because there's so much focus on the business side.
Shine. That's what it is.
Well, there's also so much on the business side that you're taking away from the guys.
Right,
just forget about it. I'm going straight to it. Put on the tinfoil hat. You're just disregarding the guys. How about you give them, instead of that wild West Coast trip, as you mentioned, stay home. Maybe it's just an East Coast trip. Maybe they're flying. Maybe that's the trip where they're going.
Trip before they go.
Exactly. So once again, sports had a great opportunity to put together a schedule that made sense, and they did not.
Of course.
And it's okay because you know what? Nobody can slow down.
The NFL, the NHL, they all hate Philadelphia.
Nobody can slow down. Nobody can slow down Philadelphia. We're used to this.
Yeah. All right, let's get into today's pitching matchup. His first pitch is about 15 minutes away here. By the way, if you're curious, the game is on Fox National. And we get our sweet, adorable boy, Ranger, on the mound. Lefty-lefty matchup today versus Sean Manaea, who's actually been quasi-okay for the Mets. And the Mets have been swinging a little bit of a hot bat lately, but Ranger brings his 9-1, 1.7 ERA with 79 strikeouts on the year into the game versus Sean Manaea, who is 3-2 with a 3.63 ERA and 57 strikeouts. Obviously, this is a favorable matchup. You have one of the best pitchers in the league this year on the hill. Sean Manaea has been fine. Francisco Lindor has been really hot this past week. It looks like the Mets offense is picking up a little bit of steam here. But just from an X's and O's on the pitching matchup, I like Ranger versus the Mets more than I'm afraid of Manaea versus a typical lefty-heavy Phillies lineup. But Pache and Merrifield are 2/3 of the outfield today.
Yeah, and you look at Sean Manaea, his walk rate is over 9%. He also has a ground ball rate that ranks in the 9th percentile. So as you talk about the wind and we talk about just what the Phillies can do, if they can be patient in their at-bats and disciplined, they can definitely really get after Sean Manaea and get on base, but also take advantage of the wind and his ground ball rate. And then on the other side, you look at what the Phillies have done. And as you mentioned, it starts with Ranger. He's been fantastic. He's been lights out. Now, I'm interested to see how he looks today because, as we know, last game he only was able to go 2 innings before getting hit with the comebacker. The game before that was the game versus the Rockies, where it wasn't a great outing for Ranger, and he gave up 4 runs in that showing, I believe it was. And so this is his chance to reset, to get back. Whole new continent. You've had some extra time off. You had a chance to rehab, get back to your high, everything that he's been doing well. But overall, for him,
he's another guy that shines when the lights are brightest.
He does. Exactly.
With that cool ass postseason ERA he has.
Beautiful. So I do think that we're going to get a really good Ranger Suarez today. I think this is going to be his chance to reset the tides between the Rockies and Cardinals, 2 outings of his last, of getting back to being one of the best pitchers in baseball and showing. I mean, not that we ever thought he wasn't, but getting the numbers back, not giving up a lot of hits, and really doing a good job going up against this Mets team.
Yeah, and the Phillies offense, career versus Sean Manaea, they're 18 for 45 against him. They're hitting 400. So not a huge sample size, 45 at-bats, but 5 home runs, 5 doubles, and a triple versus Manaea. With the bouncy turf, the aerodynamics, the weird stadium, I do think there's going to be a little bit of offense today. Hopefully it's not Ranger giving any up here. But I look for them to kind of get to Manaea a little early today, just because I think when it's weird like that, it probably favors the batters more than it does the pitchers. So there's your pitching matchup for today. All right, Renee, it does seem as though the trade rumors with the Phillies, as Gall & Co. is really picking up here as we get close to game time. The trade rumors out there, I've been thinking a lot about.
Oh, boy. Wait. Why are you thinking about trade rumors when the Phillies just made 2 roster moves?
Oh, you want to talk Buddy?
You didn't talk about, and also
Buddy?
Ruben. First of all, they got someone from Millville, guys. Don't worry, we got our signing from Millville.
Yeah, that's just a Mike Trout ploy. Hey, we got your buddy that you work out with in Millville. Why don't you come play with us, Mike? I think the Phillies, I think that's Matt Albertson in his old school Phillies uniform that just joined us here. I think they needed players in Lehigh Valley. I think they needed to, fill some bodies there with Cody Clemens coming up and the up and down nature of the season. I just think they needed some bodies. One was for cash considerations. The other, I don't think you had to give up much. So, just the front office taking a shot on 2 kind of quad A, triple A type of guys.
Yeah, and the one Ruben Cardenas who they brought in, with a trade with Tampa Bay, they, as you mentioned, he's 26. He hasn't played in majors. He has done well at AAA, slashing a 281, 346, 530, 11 home runs, 23 extra base hits, and 28 RBIs. And he is just that depth piece that they could see with injuries that have been happening. Brandon Marsh, Cody Clemens, what you can get out of him. And as we've seen in the past, the Phillies have done a good job of bringing in guys for little to nothing and being able to, David Dahl,
Michael
Mercado, exactly, Spencer Turnbull. They've done a really good job. Whit Merrifield's the only one that hasn't panned out, but everybody else that they've brought in,
a disaster.
And who they brought in for cheaper has. I didn't either, actually.
I mean, it's not my money, and there's no bad one-year deals in baseball, but man, he has been really disappointing. Dave Dombrowski, to your point, has done a lot of great. He's not infallible
Doesn't
here,
hurt.
and that one appears to be a swing and a miss because Whit Merrifield he's actually putting contact on the ball. He's just not hitting anything.
He's also
hard.
35 years old, and I think the difference in a signing these smaller pieces that we're seeing is they're younger. There's a little bit more time to make some changes, whereas you have an older Whit Merrifield that's set in his ways and also declining in his play in that he's not stealing bases, he's not giving you good at bats, and so you're bringing him in based on what he did in the past, but he's not going in that direction. He's going the opposite direction. So I do want to shout out though, because we have a nice super chat from our buddy Spiral Out saying, I got to read this in the correct accent. Cheerio. Great show as always. Go Phils. Thank you, Spiral Out, for tuning in. We always appreciate you for joining us here on the show. It's such a pleasure to have you and to have had a chance to join in the chat and give us a super chat.
Yeah, Spiral Out also says, under today, over tomorrow. There is going to be a lot of runs scored tomorrow. I don't think there's any denying that. With Taijuan Walker on the mound.
I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored today, but just for the Phillies.
I hope so.
I think yesterday could be. Tomorrow could be a little bit more of like a shootout. It'll be like
and real quick on the trade.
I couldn't say more.
Front. I can't stop thinking about Luis Robert. I know the injury history. I know the concerns. And maybe this was just my mind for 48 hours without Phillies games to watch and react to.
That's what happens when we don't have games to watch. You get irrational.
I can't stop thinking about him.
Okay.
I mean, the man had 38 home runs last year. If he's going to be undervalued or, because of his injury history, I'm ready to be hurt again. I'll take a shot on this kid every single day. It sounds like a relationship talk.
It does, actually. You're like, I can't get him off my mind. Well, it is like relationships. You've had all this downtime. You're getting caught up in your feels, Jamie. You got to get out of that. Get out of that.
But I'm in. I want to push all in.
Oh, wow.
You've
had a couple nights to sleep on it.
Yeah. Kyle Tucker just went to the IL because of the shin contusion. Yeah. He was the other named. So Jeff Passett, if you missed it the other day, Randy Arozarena, Kyle Tucker, Luis Robert. It comes out since the passing report that the White Sox are indeed fielding offers for Luis Robert. They're probably just trying to stir the market up before.
Stir, baby, stir.
Luis Robert, he's 26 years old. You can possibly get this kid in his prime. If the injury thing, works out, you could get an absolute steal here. A kid that, cannon of an arm, okay defense, huge bat, right-handed, young in his prime, I'm all in, Renee.
Complete opposite of what Whit Merrifield has brought to the table as a 35-year-old that's not in his prime. These are the types of moves that I love for teams to make in any sport. I was talking about this with the Sixers, with the Eagles. It's the same for the Phillies. Bring in the 26-year-old. Bring in the guy that still is in their prime and can give you years of, if you have to make any tweaks or adjustment, you can. You can mold them into the clubhouse. You can mold them into the culture of your team. But more importantly, you know what you're getting from them. He's not so young where you are taking a risk and a gamble, but he's not old enough where you're taking the opposite risk and gamble of hoping they still have some years left in them. I have been saying it. Luis Robert makes complete sense to me. Someone like Kyle Tucker, I would even take these names that are floating. Tyler O'Neill's name was thrown out there for the Red Sox. These names that are floating around, if you can bring in one of these guys in their prime that could add to the outfield, and honestly, with being injured, it's not a bad idea to be able to bring them in knowing you don't have to play them every day. And you have options where they can take time to rehab, stay healthy, instead of having to be that everyday starter where they can now maybe, have some days off here and there. So go all in, and I agree. After sleeping on it, Jamie,
Kyle Tucker's undeniable. He's having a great year, and he's the better player right now.
Right.
But he's left-handed. He's probably going to cost you
and that's the other thing.
More.
We like bargain shopping.
And I want that right-handed bat that can hold down center field for – Johan Rojas he's Johan Rojas. I think like at this point, we're getting stop giving that kid Miller Lights. Just kidding.
I like Yoro, and it's hard to think about.
He's fine, but you can clearly upgrade the position.
Anytime you can make those minor upgrades that will help. We're talking about World Series postseason implications of how this can drastically help.
I'll take the kid that can hit 38 home runs.
Exactly. Yeah. And listen, Yoro can take the nickname with him too.
Yeah.
And
he can be a part of the package for all I care.
It can be Luro. See what I did there? Yeah, not a great nickname, I know. Yeah. I heard it. It's fine. Yeah. But Luis Robert can come in and honestly upgrade, give you better at-bats, help you score runs, and is already there. I mean, he's at the point that we're trying to get Yoro to. He's already gotten to that level. So when you look at this group,
let's take advantage of them.
And I think the White Sox are absolutely going to look to bring in some youth, some prospects, because they are a hot mess right now, and Phillies can capitalize.
Turn it around. So I still don't believe that Kyle Tucker is a viable trade option. So we'll see. All right, we're going to get out of here as it is almost first pitch. As we are live at the Gall & Co. in Rockledge.
The kiddos are out here.
Yeah. We got $3 Miller Lights. We're going to be giving away some Miller Lite Phillies tickets in section 142. They got the Witter-Wachowski here. You can smell it. I'm getting quite hungry.
That burger smell,
dude, is killing me. Yeah.
It's lunchtime.
Gall & Co. is awesome. If you haven't been before, they have 2 locations in Port Richmond and Rockledge here. We're going to be at Port Richmond tomorrow. So looking forward to that. A little earlier of an assignment for us, as first pitch tomorrow is what, 10:10?
10:10. Bright and early, some brunch and baseball.
Yeah, we'll be doing a 9:30 pregame show, hanging out in Port Richmond, and then doing a postgame show, just as same as we'll be doing a postgame show here after the game today. But $3 Miller Lights. We're giving away Miller Lite Phillies tickets. And let's go Phillies. It is a regular season game, but it does feel a lot bigger.
Score prediction.
All right. I am going to go Phillies 6, Mets 3. Well, 6-3 job.
Okay, 6-3 job. I'm going to go, I said this before, but I'm feeling 8-2 again.
All right.
I said that on our last pregame show that we were live, and I'm feeling an 8-2 Phillies win.
All right, Andrew, what do you got? Prediction?
It's funny. I'm feeling 8 as well for the Phillies. I was going to say 8-3. 8-3.
All right.
Okay.
All right, we're all relatively close. Let's hope the Phillies offense is great.
What do you think the Phillies score is going to be?
Let's get the predictions from the kids.
I would say maybe 7 to 3.
7-3. What do you think the Phillies score is going to be?
We're all in the same neighborhood here. Something's in the air. It might be the Witter-Wachowski.
4-1? Ooh, 4-1. Low scoring game. What do you got?
Shuts them down.
4-0. We got a shutout.
Love it.
What you got? 9-4. You heard it from the daycare, the original daycare.
3-run home run.
I like it.
All right, we will see you live from the Gall & Co. post-game show immediately after the game. We might even fire it up in the top of the 9th. We will let you know. Follow us on social medias. Hit that thumbs up before you get out of here. And everybody enjoy a delicious cold Miller Lite this weekend. And go Phils. We'll see you after the game.
We all silly like the mayor.